What's going on, beautiful people? Thank you for tuning in and watching and listening to this idiot's world view. I guess it may resonate with you, and that's why you keep listening. So therefore, I have to appreciate your appreciation of my videos. So now, let's get down to it, and enough with the fucking formalities here. What is ego death? What is ego death? What does it mean when somebody experiences ego death? You know? Okay, this is a very interesting topic, and I think I have a limited understanding of it, but I will do my best based on my own dabblings with the concept and my own ego death experiences of what is ego death, what does it mean, why is it significant. Let's get down to it. The ego is, simply put, your ID in life, your identification, your id is what it's called in psychology. So, the person you are seeing in front of you right now, his name, his identification is Saeed, because apparently human beings agreed to give each other names. And so when you look at my passport, and when you look at my driver's license, you will see the name Saeed Mubayed in English. And in Arabic, it's Saeed Mubayed. It's my identification. The hair you see right here, this black curly hair, that is part of this identification. It appears to other characters with other ego structures, with other identifications. This hair appears as black and curly and brown eyes, and this is how the face looks like, and these are my hands, right? This is my identity. Okay, this is my ID in life, my ego, this thing, this human thing that I'm navigating this game of life through. That's my ego, that's my identity. So, you know, when somebody says, oh, Saeed, he's that YouTuber, here is another identity, right? YouTuber, that's an identity that society gives me, right? And these things are quite useful. It is quite useful for me when I'm talking to someone, say, oh yeah, I'm a YouTuber, I make YouTube videos. So then the person understands, oh, so you make YouTube videos. It just kind of, it's in their dictionary, it's shared in our language, right? And so we sort of go through life identifying with this, right? So for example, part of your ego, your identification could be your race. You know, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Russian, I'm Arab, whatever, right? Your race. Your religion is another ego identification. So I identify this person as Muslim or as Christian or as Hindu or as a flying spaghetti worshipper. Whatever the fuck religion you are becomes part of your identity. You grow up thinking, if you grow up in a religious upbringing, right? Then you grow up thinking whatever, you know, they tell you, oh, what are you? I'm Muslim, I'm Christian. What are you? I'm Arab, I'm Jewish, I'm this and that, right? You grow up with these identifications. They become part of your ego, become part of your mental self-image. This is my self-image, right? And here is the thing, before going on about the experience of ego death, it is absolutely necessary for us to experience this life through this game, through the ego structure. Without the ego structure, I won't be able to pick up my food and eat it, because I won't know the difference between me and the spoon and the food. I need to understand that this is me, this is my body, there is a plate, that plate has food on it, that food is going to nourish me. There is a spoon, I am eating so I can survive. It's important. We need the ego. You can't, I guess some people do it, they navigate through life But these people usually just, they end up meditating. That's what they're doing, right? They're navigating through life with relative no ego, but those are the motherfucking crazy monks in Tibet or whatever. That's all they do. They meditate, and you know, they don't do all that much. But so as long as you're out there, like even the what's his name? Dalai Lama, whatever. You know, the big Buddha guy, right? The preacher, whatever. You know, really good guy. Dalai Lama or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Again, that's his. It's just an identification. It's a name, right? You guys know who I'm talking about. When he goes out there to preach his beautiful message, right? He's got an ego now. Like, he's like, oh, I am this preacher. I am this, you know, teacher. And we, you know, it's sort of reasonable to say that. It's reasonable. It's useful. So the ego is useful. So as long as you're alive and kicking, you need your ego. Like, you are in your ego. Whether you like it or not, you're here. You're in this body. You're in this physical body. If you're here surviving, that means you have an ego. And you can't kill your ego. The only thing is, when you die, that's when you kill your ego altogether. However, you can experience in this lifetime ego death. Temporarily ego death. And that can, when you come back to your ego structure, to your ego self, that can really give you new insights into the world, new perspective on life, and make you take your ego less seriously. How is that? Make you understand that you're an actor, and you can have fun with this act, with this ego, but not take it seriously. Now, on to the experience of ego death. Ego death can be experienced through many ways. The quickest, easiest, fastest way for you to experience ego death, some of you guys already know what I'm talking about, psychedelics. You get blasted on 5 grams of mushrooms, or you take 2 tabs of some potent LSD, you're going to experience ego death. Now, the experience of ego death is the dissolution of all boundaries between self and others. And it is very difficult for me to explain it because it is an experience. So I will do my best to tell you what it feels like. So, you're walking in the trees, you're blasted, or in the woods, you're blasted on 5 grams of mushrooms. And you're looking at the trees. And you know you're looking at yourself. You know, it's like, it's ineffable. You just look and you start to speak, you know, I am you, you're me. And when you encounter human beings, other human beings, you look at the human being and you can almost develop this telepathic connection with them, and you can instantaneously take on that person's experience. You can become that person in that moment, right there and then. If you're with a friend of yours, you can look at the friend and you can experience what that friend's experiencing. Become that person. Instantaneous telepathy, instantaneous empathy with your fellow human beings, than other beings, animals too. So, and again, trees and plants and everything else. So essentially, you come to realize there's no separation between you and others, that who you are, everyone else is. It's the same awareness that is underneath the act, that is underneath this ego identification. On 5 grams of mushrooms, whatever the fuck happened in your past story, I grew up in here and I did this and I did that and I got bullied and I worked out and I became strong and whatever, I started YouTubing, blah, blah. Get the fuck out of here, you and your story. Doesn't matter. If it's a good story, if a bad story, intriguing story, get out of here. Doesn't matter. That story, that identification, there's none of that when you're blasted on 5 grams of mushrooms, okay? That's gone. Good luck trying to even remember that. Because good luck even trying to get yourself to remember that. I mean, you could, you know, but you would have to sit down and remember and like make the conscious choice. But you're so present, you don't care. You don't care. You have this instant and understanding. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's not me. That's not me. And then your future doesn't fucking matter neither, because there seems to be a timelessness when you're blasted on 5 grams of mushrooms. So it seems that it's all happening at the same time. Everything's happening at the same time. So time, the idea of time ceases to exist. Everything becomes timeless. And so, yeah, what happened in the past? Yeah, right. Okay, that doesn't fucking matter. What's in the future? Then you know what? On 5 grams, somebody tells you future and past, you probably start laughing. You're like, what the fuck is past and future and present? It's all now. It's all now. It's all happening now. It's just an understanding. It's just this, I guess you're picking up on the wisdom of the mushroom or something, right? And that's the mushroom's telling you, hey, you know it, you know it. So there's no separation between you and others. And so right there and then, a lot of people who experience ego death have suddenly a closer relationship with nature, because they come to the sudden realization that we essentially separated a human from others through creating cities. So then people who usually experience psychedelics tend to develop a real closeness to nature, because your boundaries, the boundaries that we've created in what is known as cities, which is another form of ego, by the way. This is the human ego talking now. This is the collective human ego saying city, human ego, separation, right? We're separate from the rest of the animal kingdom, and these are cities, these are boundaries, and this is nature, and this is civilized man, civilization. So you experience dissolution of all boundaries between self and others, and you come to realize we're all one, and this is the truth of life, and this is the truth of life. Oneness. We are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively, and that you are just having a subjective experience that is just as significant as someone else's experience. Now, why is that so significant? When you feel it, when you experience it. I mean, on mushrooms, you're experiencing it for 3 to 5 hours. Then your ego starts to come back, you remember who you are, you remember your story, you remember, oh, I have to do things for the future. Like I remember this one trip that I had, the 5 grammer, after I came down, I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta find the place in like a week. So then I went home and I actually started looking for places. So you start to come back to the ego, you come back, oh, past, future, oh, this was where I came from, I was born there, and this is, I gotta fucking find the place right now to survive, I don't wanna be homeless. You know, your ego comes back to you, and you come back here and you say, oh, this is the person, and you know. But after experiencing that thing, that experience, that feeling of I am everyone, everyone's me, and there's no difference between me and all my fellow beings, humans and non-human, and trees and animals and everything, that I am them, that we share this pure awareness, this loving awareness, this love thing, we're all love and we're all the same, we're all one consciousness. Then you come back, you're not the same person, because now you have to consider how you interact with other people. Now you have to consider your place in the world. Now you have to consider your priorities in life. You have to consider your relationships to others. This is the most important thing. You start to reconsider, oh man, I've really been a fucking jerk. I've been an asshole to the people around me. And I didn't realize by being an asshole to them, I was being an asshole to myself, because they're same as me, but having a subjective experience of the universe, a different subjective experience. But really, like, I am them and they're me, so I better treat them with compassion and empathy. And of course, as you come back to your normal life, if you can start to lose that attitude, and then that's when the common saying goes, all right, you need another trip. You tell yourself, I need another trip now. I've just been feeling a bit off, I need another trip, and then you go on another trip, and then you come back to this realization that we're all love and we're all made of this loving awareness and everything is one, and you come back, and the idea is that after every trip, you gain a little bit of wisdom. that will you will come back to the world, you will put yourself out there, you'll have to deal with a bunch of assholes out there. You'll come back to old patterns, but hopefully a little bit better. And the idea is every time, I mean, the idea is you don't even need to trip anymore. You just kind of understand this. Understanding deep down in your heart that, hey, we're all one. And so you kind of start to develop your own practice around that concept. That how can I treat people better? How can I spread more love, spread more positivity? You see what I'm saying? And that has a significant effect, this, this ego death experience, which you can have on doing things like yoga and meditation. But good fucking luck. That'll take you a while before you get there. It will take you a while, okay, before you get there. I certainly would never have ever in my life experienced that ego death and sort of saw myself as an idiot and saw myself as this little fucking insignificant thing, yet a beautiful, magnificent being, had I not done psychedelics. Because, I mean, I'm not fucking, I gotta do shit, man. I gotta pay bills, I gotta do shit. I don't got time to meditate 3-4 hours a day, do yoga. I don't have time, okay? And I think a lot of us, especially living in the Western world, same thing. So what is the best way to experience ego death? Is you take this thing, 5 grams, not the first time, you don't have to the first time. You start slow and you work your way up. Different video for that. But eventually you get to this ego dissolving state, which can't be made. Like if you made that, I'm sorry, some people might argue and say, no, you can't maintain it. No, you can't maintain it in the world, okay? You just can't, because then you wouldn't even be able to get shit done. You wouldn't be able to get shit done. You'd always be living in this eternal now being, and it's like, well, I gotta fucking move in a week, so I gotta come back to this ego thing and survive. However, you come back with different understanding of life. You come back with a new perspective. You come back with a fresh perspective. You hit the reset button, essentially. Reset on all the bullshit. Now, you can come back and you can come back slowly to the old bullshit again and old paradigm. Or you can say, well, I learned a lot of things here. Let me process it. And it's always good to take a couple of weeks after your trip, write down your thoughts, journal. Remember, the experience will be so vivid in you. I remember every single trip. Every single trip, I remember it. Because it will be vivid. Because there's so much emotion and there's so much happening in the now. You'll remember your trips for sure. They'll stay in your memory. They'll stay in your memory. You come back, you remember everything, how you felt, the love that you felt, the oneness. And then you say, okay, well, I will do my best. This will be a lifelong practice for me to bring myself closer to the oneness vibe, the love vibe. And sort of just have to deal with whatever this ego is, deal with it to the best of my ability, and understand that without the ego structure, without this identification that you're in, this character, this is a video game, it's a simulation, you're just a character, just like, if you were to play a character in The Sims, we wouldn't be able to have the experience of life without this character, The whole point of life is to be in this ego structure, to work things out and develop relationships with other egos, which is essentially you. You're developing a relationship with yourself. Really, really crazy things. Very difficult to describe. I can talk about it, but it's something you gotta experience for yourself. Okay? So that's it. Hopefully this rant, you got something out of this rant, right? That's it. God bless you all. You're all amazing. I love every single one of you guys. But don't forget to subscribe, or you see these Super Saiyans? They're gonna make you sleep with the fishes. So subscribe.